utilize dictation. So I know I've not used dictation like ever on my iPhone or my iPad, but now with iOS and iPadOS 16, dictation is so much more efficient and so much more smart than it has been previously. So this may be something you want to do when writing out text messages, emails, or just taking notes in general. So you can see right down here on the keyboard, we have a little microphone icon. If you tap on that, that will invoke dictation. So you can see it's kind of typing out what I'm saying. Now, if I stop, you can see that I'm typing after I take a break, and then when I start talking again, it continues the dictation and it does not stop. So that is super convenient, and you will also notice that based on my pauses in a sentence, it's going to add commas and periods, so you don't actually need to say comma, period, exclamation point, or any of that. You can also tell it to write out emojis, so dog emoji, cat emoji, alligator emoji. You can see it will write out those emojis instead of actually just saying, emoji. Now you do also have some settings for this. So if you go into your settings and then go to general and then to keyboard, you will see down here we have dictation. So you can turn that off if you would like to, but that's what you want to have on. Then you do also have auto punctuation. So if that's giving you issues, you could turn that off if you would like, but I find that to be extremely useful. And while we're in here, you may as well look at these other settings as well to see if you would like to have any of these enabled or disabled. Like if you don't like the check spelling, you can turn that off. Caps lock, shortcuts, predictive text, smart punctuation, you could turn all of those off if you would like to. Now the next thing you want to do is try out center stage in portrait mode while in FaceTime calls or any type of call where it's using your front facing camera. So this feature just essentially uses AI to track your face, and you can see it always keeps your face in the center, and it will zoom in or zoom out depending on how close or far you are from the camera. So this is extremely beneficial. I use it every single time I'm in a conference call, a meeting, or just a regular FaceTime. It's so useful. Now if you swipe down on the control center, you do have some settings right here. So if you tap and hold on video effects, you can turn center stage off right there. You also have portrait mode, which I find to be really helpful as well to blur out the background. And then if you tap and hold on mic mode, you can see we have different microphone modes as well. So we have standard, voice isolation, and wide spectrum. Now I find standard to still be the best quality, but you can experiment with these if you would like to. And speaking of FaceTime, you might also want to go into your FaceTime settings and go down under automatic prominence and turn that on or off. So it says during group FaceTime calls, the tile of the person speaking will automatically become larger. So I find that to be kind of annoying sometimes if you do go into group FaceTime calls, so you can turn that off if you would like. You also have FaceTime live photos, and the most important one here is live captions. So this one's pretty cool because it will give you live captions of what the other person is saying while you're on that FaceTime call. The next thing you want to do is explore the new weather application. Yes, we finally have a weather app with iPadOS 16 right here on this M2 iPad Pro. So if you tap on that, you will see that this is the brand new weather application, and it's fully decked out just like on the iPhone. So we have all of our temperatures up here for the day. We have our 10-day forecast, our air quality, our UV index, our precipitation map, and of course if you tap on any of these, it will give you more details in this graph view right here. We can change all kind of things in here. So it's fully functional, it's fully featured like the iPhone application, and it's really nice to have here on the iPad. Finally, it took them long enough, but we still do not have a calculator application, which still baffles me to this day why we don't have a calculator on the iPad by default. The next thing you want to do is to change even more display settings. So I showed you guys, if you go into your display and brightness and down here to view, that's why it looks smaller right now. Everything looks smaller because I do have more resolution because I'm on more space. You can of course change that to larger text as well if you would like to. You could just change that to your liking. Just kind of try those out and see which one you like. Now, other things you should change in here are auto lock. I would recommend having this on, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. Mine's on never just for the sake of this video, but if I wasn't recording, it would be on 15 minutes right there, just so your display doesn't stay on all night. We also have a new feature down here called reference mode. So it says, use this mode for color critical workflows in a controlled viewing environment. Turning on reference mode may affect battery life. So this is essentially, if you just want to match colors. If you're color grading videos or photos, you might want to have that turned on. But for most people, if you're not in the creative field, you're not going to want to touch that. We also have text size right here, so you can change your text size. Now, a little tip right here, you might want to add this to the control center. So if you go down right here, you do have text size, so you could change that on the fly from the control center. You could also do it on a per app basis. We have bold text right there, and then we do also have our automatic light and dark mode. I would recommend having that turned on to automatic, unless you're just an always dark fan. You can keep that on dark mode right there. And then if we go to accessibility and then to display and text size, you can see even more changes right here, more toggles that you can change. We have our auto brightness right here, which I turned off personally. I like it on my iPhone, but not on my iPad, but that is something you can experiment with. We also have our reduced white point color filters. Just take a look at all of these and see what you might consider changing. The next thing you want to do is to customize your iPad. So this looks like every other iPad when it comes out of the box, so we're going to want to change that. So the first thing we need to do is change that wallpaper. Everybody has this. Let's go into our settings. Let's go to wallpaper. Let's tap right here on the lock screen, and we're going to tap right here, choose new wallpaper. I wish it was like the iPhone, but it's not. If we go to stills right here, then go all the way to the bottom, you will see we have 2 exclusive wallpapers just for the M2 iPad Pro. So you could choose this blue and purple or this kind of pinkish and purple one right here. So I'm going to choose this one. Let's tap on set. Let's set to both right here and then go back. You can see instantly we have a huge change in the look of our home screen, and it doesn't look like everybody else's. Now you're also going to want to change up the widget. So you're probably not going to want the default layout here for the widgets. If you tap and hold on the screen and tap on the plus in the top left, you will see all of our different widgets that you could add right here. Now I like having the music one, so I'll add a music one. Let's just add the regular small one right there. And if I wanted to put this on top of another one, I can. You can see we can put all of these kind of just on top of each other. So I'm going to get out of this one. I'm going to remove that. We're going to remove the weather. And I do like the battery, but I want it to be smaller. So we're going to X out of that. And we're going to add new ones. So we're going to add a new battery right here. We'll do this one actually. Yeah, we'll do that one small as well. We're going to add a big calendar. Now, unfortunately, you cannot change the size after you already, put these in. You're going to have to delete and create a new one, which I hope that's something that comes in the future. You're also going to want to add different toggles to your control center. So by default, there's only 4 toggles in there. You're going to want more than that. So if you go into your settings here and then go to control center, you want to add some of the useful ones. So silent mode is not very useful in my opinion on the iPad. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. Camera, not really useful in my opinion. The ones that I think are useful are Stage Manager. Notes is pretty useful. I think Quick Notes is more useful though. So we're going to X out of that. We're going to add Quick Notes. We're going to add, we're going to add dark mode. We're going to add flashlight, hearing, keyboard brightness, low power mode, and screen recording. So those are the ones I find personally to be the most useful, but you can adjust this to your liking. Of course, if you don't have a keyboard attached, you don't need keyboard brightness in there, but all of these I find to be very useful on the iPad. And if you wanted to move multiple applications around at once, you could just tap and hold on one of these and then just simply tap on the others while you have this one selected right here. So just like you do on the iPhone, you can do that right here on the iPad. Now, if you wanted to remove an application just from your home screen, but not entirely from your device, like for example, iMovie, GarageBand, Keynote, I'm probably not going to use any of those, but I might, so I don't want to fully delete them. So I tap on this and if I tap on remove from home screen, that will put it over in the app library, which this is the app library by the way, but it's not going to completely delete it from my device. Now, for example, something like iMovie, honestly, I'm probably never going to use iMovie, so I could just go ahead and delete that like so. Tips, I'm not going to use that. So just kind of delete the applications you don't think you're ever going to use and start installing new applications. Now, when you do install new applications from the App Store, if you go into your settings and then go to home screen and multitasking, you want to make sure right here under newly downloaded apps that me personally, I like to have this set to app library only. So you could change this if you want, and when you have this set to app library only, anytime you download an application, it's not going to show up on your home screen until you add it to your home screen. So if you go over to the app library, you're going to have to search for it or find it in one of these folders and then add it to your home screen. So for example, if I take right here, if I tap and hold on one of these, it will say to add to home screen. So let me find one. So I'm just going to remove pages from the home screen and then go over, and you can see pages is right here. So if I tap and hold on that, it will say add to home screen, and that way it will add it to my home screen and I can move it around right there. But again, I like having this set to app library only just to keep a very clean home screen and only have what I want to be on there. And you can see we have other things in here as well, like changes for the dock. You could use large app icons. If you turn that on, you will see that the app icons turn much larger, which looks worse in my opinion, but you have all these different options to change in there. So just go ahead and do that. You will want to customize your iPad to look different from just the default setup. The next thing you need to do is learn how to use an external SSD or an external hard drive with your iPad Pro for managing files. So if I plug in my SSD right here, you can see that at first nothing changes. You don't get any pop-ups or anything like you do on a computer. But if you go into the Files application, so here's Files right here, you will see over on the left-hand side, we have our T7 Touch, for example, right here, and it will load up all the files that I have on the external device. So what's cool about this is that not only can you take and drag and drop files from your external device to your iPad or vice versa, you could take files off of your iPad and put them onto your external drive, but also you can do things like changing file extensions, you have quick actions, and much more. So let me find a photo, for example. So here is a photo. If I take and hold on this, you can see that we have quick actions right here. And if you tap on quick actions, we have remove background, which is really cool. You also have convert image, create PDF. You can do all of this straight from your iPad, which makes it a very handy, kind of just tool to have, especially if you're traveling and you may not have access to a computer. The next thing you need to do is strongly consider getting the Magic Keyboard. So this changes the entire experience of using the iPad Pro. I cannot imagine using this iPad Pro, especially the 12.9 inch, without the Magic Keyboard. It really makes that big of a difference, especially when you add the Apple Pencil on top of that. I mean, I know it's very expensive, but trust me, it is well worth it. Now, if you do want a less expensive option, there are some alternatives that I will leave linked in the description below, but just know that they're not going to, live up to what the Magic Keyboard can do on the iPad and all the built-in capabilities that it has. And then the final thing you need to do is try out the new Freeform application. So this is in iPadOS 16.2, which is currently in beta as of the time of recording this video, but the Freeform application is basically a big whiteboard that allows you to collaborate with other people on their Mac, their iPad, or their iPhone. So this is going to be great if you work remote, like at an agency or somewhere creative. You're going to be able to use this Freeform application, and I think you should get used to it right away because I could see it being very useful in the workspace in the future.